Divorcing can be a difficult and emotional time, but it's also a time for new beginnings. If you're going through a divorce, one of the things you may need to consider is what to do with your marital home and the mortgage that's associated with the property. So in this video, we're going to provide you with a comprehensive guide to real estate and mortgage matters that's really designed for divorced or divorcing couples. We're going to cover everything: the 9 worst mistakes divorcing couples make in regards to their finances, 4 essential keys to surviving a divorce, 6 steps that you can take right now to protect yourself, and then how to also begin preparing for a divorce, how to get possession of your home during the divorce. And we're doing that right now. What's going on, family? It's Bobby Friel with the Just Living Realty Group. Please take notes during this next few minutes, and thank you for visiting with me today. You know, I've gone through a divorce myself, and I've helped dozens of clients through this very same situation. But on this channel, we talk about working, playing, chilling, just living that Colorado lifestyle, and we cover tough topics like divorce in Colorado real estate. Before we head off and review this comprehensive guide to real estate and mortgage matters for divorce or divorcing couples, please head down and like this video. And if you're new here, make sure you're subscribed and have the bell clicked for notifications when new videos are uploaded. And we get so many phone calls, texts, and emails each and every single day from people just like you going through the hardship of a divorce. And we actually love helping people just like you. So to get to the front of the line and avoid phone tag, make sure you check the link in the description or the top pinned comment to book a free consultation. You know, we're going to treat you like family, and we'll develop a clear plan to help you guide you through real estate and mortgage matters for divorcing couples. But, you know, you've got to reach out. There are so many questions you may have at this time, particularly surrounding your home. And you know, we're here to help. So let's get started by breaking down some of the basics here. I want to stay in my home, and what do I need to keep in mind? So first, take into consideration the size of your home, the cost of the utilities, the mortgage payments, and your family's needs. So does staying in the home truly make sense to you after you analyze those things? If you're going to be responsible for the house payment yourself, those taxes, insurance, upkeep, and maintenance expenses, there's other bills as well to be mindful of. So a decrease in income and an increase in the expenses could be financially devastating. My spouse is entitled to part of the equity we have in our home. What do I do? The equity needs will be determined by an appraiser. We can actually do a comparative market analysis if you'd like us to, before you have to pay for an appraisal. The appraised value less the cost of selling, like your mortgages, commissions, and other closing costs, equals the equity split between the parties. You're going to want to ask your attorney if any other factors might be, play in your situation. So once the amount of equity has been established, there's several ways that it can be distributed between the parties. First, the home can be sold and the equity just divided in half. Second, you can refinance the home and remove some cash, or a cash out refinance is what that's called, to pay basically your spouse off in that case. Or third, you can use funds from another source to buy out your spouse. But obviously be sure to consult a tax advisor as to which option is best for you. Remember, not all investments are created equal. What if I'm the one leaving the home? It is important to know that even in the divorce decree that's awarded to the spouse, if you're on the note or the mortgage, you're still going to be obligated of this debt payment in the eyes of the bank or the lender. Many people are assuming that just by filing a quitclaim deed and removing themselves from the title, they're no longer responsible for the mortgage or the note. However, a quitclaim deed only takes your name off the title of the property, not the mortgage loan, so be careful what you decide to do. You clearly don't want to end up liable for something that you no longer own. How might this impact my credit, and what can I do? So if both you and your spouse are on the existing mortgage, the person responsible for the payment must remain current. Any late payments that you incur will affect both of your credit scores. So one possibility you have is to remove your name from the obligation. That's to contact the company that holds your mortgage first and ask for a qualifying name delete assumption. This process will leave the existing loan in place, but will relieve the non-occupying spouse from obligation on the loan. There usually is a charge for this, and the occupying spouse must be able to qualify for those payments alone by themselves. It could be that refinancing makes more sense for your spouse than to do all that. So obviously you can give us a call and we can help you with that process as well, being realtors and mortgage advisors. After my divorce, can I get a new mortgage while I'm still listed on the old mortgage? If the final divorce decree states that you're not obligated for the mortgage any longer, it's possible that you could qualify, because some mortgage programs allow you to be qualified without that obligation. But if the mortgage company does allow this, you're going to have to qualify for both mortgages. So keep in mind that any late payment issues on the mortgage held by the ex-spouse will definitely impact your credit scores. The mortgage company is still considering your liability in the eyes of the credit bureaus until you're removed via a refinance, a sale, or some other method as described in the early part of the video. These late payments could affect your ability to get a mortgage. And if you're counting on child support and alimony for income, they must have been received for, at this point in time, at least 3 months, and the likelihood to continue for another 3 years to use that as qualifying income. What if I want to purchase another home before my divorce is final, you might be asking. Although it is difficult and not usually advised to purchase another home until your current divorce is final, we are happy to review your new financial situation and get you pre-qualified. And based off that, we could also get you in the field looking for homes, because it might be possible to buy another home before the divorce is final. But beware that your soon-to-be ex-spouse may have marital interest in your new property. So you're definitely going to want to ask your attorney. But when the divorce is final, your attorney can arrange for a quit claim deed to be signed by your ex-spouse to you if you do that prior to the finalization of your divorce. You will also have to qualify for the full debt of both homes, because there would not yet be a final divorce decree assigning ownership of your previous home. So be very careful with this situation, especially since the financial situation that you expect might not be the final result once the decree is entered. How do I protect my credit, you might be asking? Well, the first thing you need to do when getting a divorce is close out all joint accounts. If you have a credit card balance, transfer them equally to new accounts in each spouse's name if possible. Any automobiles in both spouses' names that are not paid off should either be sold or paid off if possible. While you are in the process of closing accounts and selling assets, make sure that someone is paying at least the minimum payments on them. Late payments will affect, again, your credit score as mentioned. And that is what we're trying, obviously, to avoid. So if you have to make the payments yourself, keep records of it so you can bring that up in court later and get possibly refunded. The judge may order your spouse to reimburse you for his or her part. Now, where do you go from here, you might be asking? Well, we understand that this might be a very difficult time and you have many decisions to make. We can provide you with a free consultation, a credit check, and a mortgage strategy review so that you have all of the answers and information, basically the data you need to make high quality decisions. Taking the time to talk with us during this process and before you decide to start looking at a new home can help eliminate many of the concerns or questions that really oftentimes surface in these situations. And we're available to meet with you and your attorney and your ex-spouse to discuss all your options. It's not just a house, it's your home. The 9 worst mistakes divorcing couples make in regards to their finance. Mistake number 1, not getting a copy of your credit report from all 3 credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. It is impossible to formulate a financial plan without having a complete understanding of the situation. There might be charges, inquiries, or late payments on your credit report that you're not aware of. If you need help getting a copy, you can obviously let us know. Mistake number 2, not establishing your own credit. Yes, separate as many of your unsecured accounts as you can, especially your credit cards. If this can be done without closing the accounts, it would be better so that you don't lose out on the credit history that you've worked so hard to establish. But keep in mind that while you have joint accounts, even one late payment can lower your credit score by up to 50 to 75 points. Mistake number 3 is not knowing what you own and what you owe. So make copies of all the important financial documents, your wills, bank accounts, stock portfolios, retirement accounts, real estate owned, titles to vehicles, life insurance, policies, etc. You also want to make copies of those documents that reflect your marital lifestyle. And you might need a restraining order if you believe your spouse will try to liquidate any of the accounts. The court not only orders equitable distribution of marital property, but of marital liabilities and debts as well. So have copies of mortgage statements, car payments, your student loans, home improvement loans, credit card bills, loans payable to friends or relatives, business loans, medical bills, and any other things that you can think of. If you will be dividing up some of these liabilities, then make sure you check the interest rate so you don't get stuck paying the bills with all the higher interest rates. Mistake number 4 is not having an accurate budget or planning for the future. Now review all those credit card statements that we just talked about, those utility bills, mortgage statements, checking accounts, cash withdrawals, and other financial documents so that you have an accurate picture of what your budget might look like. Also take into consideration all your future expenses, inflation, rising medical and insurance costs, loan payment increases due to rising interest rates, increased childcare, increased real estate taxes, education, and so on. It is absolutely critical to understand your future needs, not just what's happening right now today. Mistake number 5 here is not using a financial planner or a tax advisor. Now again, not all investments are created equal. A $10,000 CD is not the same as a $10,000 stock or $10,000 in your 401k. There might be huge tax consequences involved with some of these investments that could greatly reduce your investment yield if not handled properly. You must be aware of the tax laws concerning alimony, child support, retirement funds, real estate property, and capital gains. And a tax advisor can help you see if any penalties may apply, especially when dividing up retirement accounts. Mistake number 6 is not being prepared for your meetings and other attorney or financial advisor appointments. Your attorney can get you the best settlement possible for you, but they're going to have the entire and full picture. Failing to provide all the necessary financial documents or trying to hide things from them only prolongs the proceedings and wastes valuable time and money. So be as organized as possible so that all those working on your file don't have to dig for information. And on to the next mistake is removing your name from title too soon. Unless your name has been removed from the loan, don't remove your ownership. This goes for real estate properties as well as your vehicles. So you don't want to end up financially responsible, again, for something that you're not even owning at that point, right? So use your head a little bit. You can remove your name or your spouse's name from a mortgage debt by refinancing or trying to get that qualifying name delete that we talked about. You or your spouse will have to qualify for the debt on your own merit. And mistake number 8 here comes up with letting your emotions rule. Having an emotional attachment to your house or belongings can keep you from thinking clearly and prevent you from making wise or rational decisions. So be realistic about what you can or cannot afford. And although you might love this house, you may not be able to pay for it once you're on your own. And mistake number 9 is not ensuring your divorce settlement. The premature death or disability of a supporting spouse can result in the loss of child support, alimony, college tuition, or other property settlements. Life insurance and disability insurance can ensure your family's financial future, so be sure to include these in your negotiations. The 4 essential keys to surviving a divorce. Now, there's several things that you can do to help your divorce. Number 1, obviously speak with an attorney. Some things are handled best by professionals, and divorce is usually one of those things, obviously. So even though your divorce is uncontested, you need to understand your legal rights. Number 2 is take inventory of your property. Next, you're going to want to take inventory of everything that you have. So you should be familiar with all the family's assets, what you own, and your liabilities, what you owe. Know the benefits that you and your children are entitled to receive from your spouse's retirement plan, insurance policies, trusts, and so on. Number 3 is knowing your finances, of course. And this should cover everything from mortgages to retirement to investment to bank accounts, as well as future pensions and Social Security. So make copies of you and your spouse's tax returns. Those returns explain basically to a financial advisor a lot more than your income and taxes paid. And 4th is let's plan for the future. You definitely need to want to start thinking about that before splitting your assets. You should think about what you need long term. So you're going to need to create a budget, identify what assets will achieve your financial security, and negotiate for this. Remember, $50,000 in home equity is not the same as $50,000 in a retirement plan, and a financial advisor can help you with this. Now on to the 6 steps that you can take right now to protect yourself. First, get a post office box. So use your new mailing address on everything that's related to your divorce. Set up a new email account with a username and password that your spouse doesn't or won't guess. Always log out of your email account after using it and close your browser. Get your own cell phone. Use your new mailing address on the cell phone account and store your cell phone bills somewhere confidential. Open your own bank accounts. Use your new mailing address on your accounts, of course, as we mentioned. Talk to your attorney about what assets you can start to use. Make copies of important documents. Gather those important documents that your attorney needs from you, and be sure to copy both sides of double-sided documents like bank statements. You're also going to want to scan the documents into a disk instead of copying them. And number 6, find a safe place to store all of these important documents. If you still live with your spouse, ask your parents, a trusted friend, or a lawyer to hold your important documents for safekeeping. It might go without saying, but don't use your car trunk or a safe in your home or office to store those documents. Now, how can you begin preparing for a divorce besides watching this video? The first step to a financially fair divorce is to get as organized as soon as possible. And here's a short list that can help you get started. You're gonna wanna copy both you and your spouse's income tax returns and have a basic understanding of what's on them. So you're gonna review pay stubs with deductions, bonuses, and expense reimbursements. Establish a credit history of your own. Order a copy of your joint credit report. Obviously, I can help you with that as well. And research and verify the ownership of all assets like stocks and bonds, your annuities, your bank accounts, and how they're really registered at those entities. And make a copy of all those investment reports. Review life, medical, and disability insurance policies. Know what benefits you and your children are entitled to receive from your spouse's retirement plan, your insurance policies, or trusts. Understand employee benefit summaries. Know the mortgage terms on the family home, a vacation home, or rental properties. Again, I can help you with that. Clarify the terms of pension and nonprofit sharing plans. Have access to copies of important documents like wills, deeds, your home, your titles, your trust accounts, your business agreements, and other essential documents. This level of organization will help your advisors be more efficient with your time, and it might save you money in the long term. Now, how can you get possession of your home during the divorce here? If you and your spouse own a home and get a divorce, your home will be one of the primary considerations in this case, right? Obviously, family home is usually a couple's largest asset. It is also often a point of emotional attachment for both parties involved. Now, it's easy to get caught up in fighting to keep it, but things will work out much better if you can actually keep your emotions at bay during negotiations. Cases obviously vary, but in the majority of scenarios, the names of both husband and wife are on the deed to the home and property as well as the mortgage. And it is fairly easy to get one party's name off of the deed. Now, the party who will no longer have ownership in the home must simply file a quitclaim deed with the local register of deeds. What this does is effectively transfers all homeownership interests out of the person's name, leaving any other parties on the deed as owners. But it is a common misconception that this relieves the person who filed the quitclaim deed responsibility of the mortgage. Now, it does not, as mentioned. If both parties' names are on the mortgage, they will remain on the mortgage until one of two things happen. Either the mortgage must be paid off by the owners through the sale of the home, or the party who will be keeping the house typically must refinance the property in his or her own name. If neither of these things happen, both parties will still be financially responsible for the mortgage payments. And if those mortgage payments are not paid, the bank can take adverse action against both, increasing your chances of being awarded the home. If you want to keep your home during and after your divorce, the first thing you need to do is remain in it. Try to get your spouse to move out if possible. By simply remaining in the house, you increase your chances of keeping it, as a matter of fact. If you're unable to pay the mortgage payments, you probably won't be awarded the home though, obviously, keeping that in mind. If you do not make enough money on your own to pay the payments and your spouse makes significantly more than you, you could negotiate for alimony. The thing to remember is that the court will probably order you to refinance to get your spouse's name removed from the mortgage, and in most cases, you will have to buy out your former spouse's equity in the home as well. To do so, you will have to qualify for a loan in the amount owed on the home plus your ex's portion of the equity. And assets, keep in mind, they're not always split 50-50, so you don't necessarily have to have enough other assets for your spouse to keep the equivalent of what the home is actually worth. But you will likely have to make some concessions. So if you're serious about keeping your home, be prepared to let go of some other assets. Retaining legal counsel is imperative if you want to keep your home during a divorce. Even if your spouse does not object, you will need a knowledgeable attorney to ensure that all the loose ends are tied up. And if your spouse has some other ideas, your attorney can find ways to increase the likelihood that you will prevail. Now, what should you do when selling your home during a divorce? The marital home is often, again, the largest asset owned by a couple. Often, the simplest and most equitable solution is to sell the home, pay off the mortgage, and divide the profits between the spouses. But when it comes to a divorce, nothing is really all that simple, is it? Why is selling easier? When a married couple purchases a home, it is usually put into the names of both the husband and the wife. And also, both names typically go on the mortgage as well in most cases. So when getting a divorce, if one party wishes to keep the house, it must be typically refinanced in that party's name. That party must also buy out the other spouse's equity in the property. And getting a loan for that amount of money can prove difficult, especially if the original mortgage is based on the income of two or both of the spouses. By selling the home, both spouses can cash in on the equity that they have in the home. This gives them more money to make a fresh start. It eliminates the hassles of transferring ownership and refinancing. Tax considerations. Anytime you sell a home, you need to consider the tax implications of the sale. This is especially true when you're in the process of getting a divorce. Tax rates are set up to the advantage of married people, and those who are divorced often end up paying much more than they would have while still married to their former spouses. Why is it better to sell while still married? Besides the tax advantages, there are reasons that it is to the advantage of all the people involved to sell the house before you get divorced. One of the most significant advantages is the elimination of the worries about if the other spouse is ruining the other's credit. By getting ahead, you can save yourself from having to be hyper vigilant about your own credit situation if the other spouse is in the house. You don't have to worry about how long it takes your former spouse to get the mortgage refinances into his or her own name, and it's the possibility that it won't happen at all. But if you sell your home after divorce, there might be concerns about getting fair market value out of the house. Repairs might have to be made to achieve this, and both parties will probably have to contribute to this. Selling your home is often the smartest option when you are going through a divorce. It makes the division of the assets much more simpler by liquefying what is usually the largest one. It also eliminates the need for negotiation on one of the most emotional things in the marriage, and it makes it easier for both parties to really get on with their lives. And if you want to start taking the steps to protect yourself, or just have questions and want some guidance, please again check the top pinned comment. And we get so many phone calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you going through a divorce. And having gone through it myself, I can honestly say sometimes you just need to chat and come up with a plan of action to relieve all the stress that comes with this type of thing. To get to the front of the line, it's best really to schedule a brief meeting. Check the top pinned comment again or the description to do so. And I'm going to promise to treat you like family and help you like I've helped so many others navigate divorce in Colorado. So stay sweet, check out one of these other videos, and you know what? I'll see you very soon.